Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on another Tuesday as we ramp up towards Christmas.
Yep.
The set exploded behind us. Look at all this great Christmas stuff that Fran Marsh put up for us. She does a great job with that, and we appreciate her. So good morning to you, Matt. Happy
Good morning,
Tuesday.
Bill.
Yeah, good to see you. Got your festive green on for Christmas. I like it.
I was looking at I sort of blend in.
Yeah, it's nice. All we see is a head, right? So it's I think that's a good thing. We're wrapping up as we come to Christmas time. It's wrapping up the year, and it's always a weird time of the year, I think, for me and for us who love Christmas so much and still love selling so much. And you get into that mix of end of the year Christmas joy and preparation and excitement. Matt and I were talking about fish this morning and what meals we're going to have, and as we prepare for our Feast of the Seven Fishes.
And we try to copy, even though we're not Italian at all. I don't know how to do it.
You're an honorary. Matt's
Yeah.
an honorary Italian. I love it. And but then it's also that mix of what do we do selling? How do we get everything closed? And how do we wrap up the year? And this is a time where we're dealing with a lot of questions from our coaching clients about deals they have in process and how do I get this one in before the end of the year and how do I manage that, right? And it seems like that's most of my day.
Yep.
You too.
Yeah, absolutely agree, because it's that, that fine line between looking ahead, starting to get the numbers, the performer down for 2022, but then also trying to get deals, keep urgency, clear next steps, all the things that we talk about. Not losing sight of that as well. So I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's interesting you talk about like threading that needle between the people that are just accepting and like, yeah, I'm done. Like I have nothing left, and if you have nothing left, you're chasing this year. That means you're either perfect or you don't have enough in the pipeline. Some of you could be really good and actually did a great job of getting things across the goal line. If so, that's wonderful. If you're wondering, hey, I need more in my pipeline, now you're thinking about planning into next year. And, one of the things I talked about yesterday with somebody was deals that are a little staggered right now, and they're moving slower than they'd like, and they're questioning whether they're going to come in. We talked about this from two angles: what you do as a sales manager, and then what you do as a salesperson. And as a sales manager, if you have people that they're hanging out there and they're experiencing that, now's the time of year where you should be making notes, capturing where you are in those cycles, what happened to get us here, what we're experiencing right now for two reasons. You have an opportunity, once we come back and get into January and start looking forward with planning, to be having the conversations with somebody that says, hey, remember how you felt on December 12th? Remember the anxiety that you had on December 18th, because we want to prepare people to not have to learn from this so we don't have to go through it again, so that next year they can experience Christmas or experience the holidays more fully without that stress of what do I have to get closed. So how do we capture that to help others learn from it, right? The second is from a salesperson perspective, do that for yourself. Capture where you are right now. Document how I got here. How do I feel? Why am I here? What happened in the sales cycle that was a surprise? What happened in the sales cycle that I failed to control? I didn't have, and it might go back to June. It might go back to May, depending on your sales cycles, where you find that mistake or you find that thing you could have done better. And then you make notes, you capture, and you commit to how am I going to do this differently moving forward.
What are some ideas of capturing those notes? It always shocks me when we first start coaching salespeople or sales managers, and maybe not, they have one-to-ones, and it seems obvious, but I feel like there's a lot of times that sales managers are having these meetings, having these one-to-ones. We become a part of them. They feel like Groundhog Day because they're just repeated. And they lack accountability sometimes because we never go back to what we talked about, or we never capture that deal, that thought to reiterate to coach. So, what are some just ideas in the importance of taking notes as a salesperson throughout the year, maybe more in a journal format, but also as a sales manager, as you have one-to-ones, because I find so many sales managers struggle with that.
Yeah, that's an incredibly insightful point, because I think the reason they struggle with that And the reason we find ourselves here at the end of the year with a stub toe is because we don't want to address the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that happened back in July, August, September, whatever, where we failed to set a clear next step with somebody, where we failed to get somebody to commit to a timeline, where we failed to ask somebody that question, that one thing question of, hey, if we're at the end of the year and you're not working with us, what would be the one reason why?
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't get those answers, we don't have true insight and clarity. And what I find is that sales managers want to be liked sometimes too much. They want to be nice, and they want to build rapport with their team, and they think that they're helping their guys along, their team along, by giving them those breaks and saying, "Oh, okay, well, maybe we need to do that," or versus saying, "Why not?" They don't like making life uncomfortable for salespeople, and goes back to what do I always say? The most loving thing a sales leader can do. What's the most loving thing?
Position someone for success.
Yeah, the most loving thing we can do as a sales leader is position somebody for success. Mm-hmm. And positioning someone for success doesn't mean giving them passes when they fail to execute the process. So I think that's one reason, because sales managers are very uncomfortable making other people uncomfortable.
Yeah, we could talk about happy years from a sales perspective or a sales management perspective. I think another insight that I see that a lot of sales managers fall into is that they're really busy. And so we go through the motions a bit with these one-to-ones, and we don't document. And we, if the numbers are good, it's just a very high-level surface conversation. However, when the numbers get, might dip, or the production goes down, or we're at the end of the year, all of a sudden sales managers are trying to have these tough conversations where you have to build the foundation, and you need consistency all year long. And again, I think just the point of it starts with taking notes. I don't care if it's pen and paper, old school. You adopted OneNote with the iPad, but again, it blows my mind how many people ask me, well, how do I keep track of these notes? I have biweekly one-to-ones or weekly one-to-ones, and that's a lot. Or how do I hold them accountable? I'm sitting there taking notes. I can't ask questions. It sounds simplistic, but it's really, really powerful for accountability and documenting growth of salespeople.
Amen. And if you're a salesperson that doesn't get that from your sales leadership, you should demand it, or you need to give it to yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you're not getting the accountability from your sales leadership you desire or you think you need, don't use it as an excuse. I mean, come on. We're adults. We're professionals. We have mouths to feed. Cut the excuses. If you're going to do anything going into next year, it's be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? Be honest with yourself. I'm not angry. Right now, my kids would say, "Why are you getting angry about this?" I'm not angry. I'm just passionate about this. It is so easy for us to make excuses and tell ourselves, "Well, I'm trying hard," or No, come on, own it. Own it. Go do what you need to do. If you're not getting this accountability from your sales leader, demand it. Go to him or her and say, "Hey, I give you permission to hold me accountable," because they might need to hear that from you. They might need to hear from you that you're okay with them pushing you. And guess what you just did? Not only are you going to get better, you help them become better. And they're probably going to transfer that to some of your colleagues who are going to get better. So demand that from your leadership, and also demand it of yourself. Mm-hmm. Hold yourself accountable. When you make commitments and you know that you went through a process and you took a shortcut, then you have to be honest with yourself about it. And shortcuts lead to disappointment over time. Anytime we take a shortcut, we're expanding something, right? Whether you're taking a shortcut when you sweep the floor, cut the grass, or you're in a sales cycle, it's going to lead to an elongation of time and frustration somewhere else.
Yeah, and just to reiterate one point, because it really transformed my life. We talk a lot about journaling. And again, I think that's a topic that goes over a lot of people's heads. And before I started journaling, I thought it was my little sister's journal that is under a lock and key with, little pony stickers on it and things of that nature. I'm thinking, journaling? What the heck? Bill keeps talking about journaling. What do I need to go lay down?
My little pony did it for me.
Do I have to go lay down and he's going to be my shrink? He just keeps telling me about journaling. But it's extremely powerful, because when you start owning that and you start writing down your thoughts, again, so don't try to be perfect. Don't spend all your time on how you're going to organize it, how you're going to keep it, where you're going to put it. You do a lot of moleskin, right? You really love the moleskin.
I do.
And at the beginning of the year, he always talks about, well, what color do you want?
Yeah, right.
what texture do you want? Don't worry about any of that. Just start writing stuff down, because there's nothing more powerful when you open it up, you start flipping through a little bit, and you see your thoughts from June. And it's a great reminder of whatever it may be, clear next steps, or don't get yourself in this position, or I'm feeling down right now because I shortchanged the sales process, or I got happy years. I thought I was going to win this deal, but guess what? I sped it up when I needed to slow it down. And even personal stuff. I find myself throwing a lot of things in there about Lucy, and it brings joy and gratitude to my life whenever I'm able to review it. So, if there's one thing to take from this year, and take it from me, I went through this process. Journaling is really, really powerful. Whatever that means to you, it's a great thing to become a habit in 2022, because it will help you immensely.
Yeah, and the other thing it allows us to do is plan our work. And we have a great salesperson in our life named Steve Donafy, my father-in-law, who's one of my heroes, and I love, and I think he's become a gentleman that Matt admires as well.
I think he tried to sell me insurance the day he met me.
Yeah, and he's been trying ever since.
Yeah, he said I might be retired, but I could call up the the insurance company and still write this. Okay, no business cards, but here's my my home phone.
And he still does it. He's still old school, and he still is effective and still is selling insurance to this day, even though he's been retired for almost 30 years. And please keep him in your prayers today. He's having a little heart procedure today. He scared us with a heart attack a few weeks ago, survived a 100% blockage of his widowmaker. He's fighting through and doing incredibly well. And he's going to have another stint put in today. But his name's Steve Donafy. We appreciate your prayers for him. But that's his favorite phrase: plan your work and work your plan. And as we get into 2022, as we come up to the end of the year, now's a great time to start planning that work. And then next year, you have no excuse for not working that plan. So that's the power of journaling. And Matt said it could be transformative. It's interesting. This morning, I opened mail that came from yesterday, and there was something, speaking of transformative, a new book from Matthew Kelly, who's my favorite author. And it's called The Generosity Habit. And I haven't read this book. I only read the first 2 pages of it this morning as Matt and I opened it up. But want to read something for you as we head into Christmas, and as we look at this new book, as we think about 2022 and things that can transform us. It's interesting how Matthew Kelly always captures it. And his book, The Rhythm of Life, has been transformative for me and many of his other works. But in The Generosity Habit, he writes, "The generosity habit is simple. Give something away every day. It doesn't need to be money or material things. In fact, the philosophy behind the generosity habit rests on this singular truth. You don't need money or material possessions to live a life of staggering generosity." So as we go into the Christmas season, let's be generous. Be generous with our time. Be generous with our smiles. Mm-hmm. Be generous with our love. And as we move forward into 2022, let's think of how we will not only transform our hearts and transform our lives, but how we can transform the world around us through our intentionality to the good work we do and the generosity we share with others. So think about what generosity means for you. Think about how you can start giving away and making other people's lives better without just writing checks or throwing money in the kettle. Not that we want to quit those things, but what does that mean for you? How are you going to transform the world through your generosity as we move forward? So thank you all for being with us. Have a great week. God bless.